With nearly $2 million in earnings and 50 top 10 finishes in both FLW and BASS, our next guest is probably familiar to most of you. Three-time Angler of the Year, Clark Wendlandt. But we're not going fishing today. You see, Clark is also an avid deer hunter and loves to spend his off-season in the woods at his family ranch. But his first stop is always at Cabela's, where every adventure begins.
You know, every time I come in these stores, I'm just amazed at how much different stuff they have. You know, hey, this is my favorite time of year right now. Everybody would think it's fishing, but I love to fish, but I get to do it 10 months of the year. I really like to go hunting, and you know, my family likes hunting. It's kind of what we've always done, and hey, this is going to be a great week. We're going to get out there. I think we're going to see a lot of bucks. Hopefully they're moving. Put ourselves in a situation where we can kill a mature buck. That's kind of what the goal is see if we can kill a mature buck. So it's going to be fun. You know, we got here that first afternoon a little bit late. We decided, hey, you know, we had a blind set up. I'd already kind of scouted the area that we decided to hunt, and you know, knew there wasn't any reason to get in there just really late, maybe scare some deer away out of that area. And so we just decided to go rattling. I mean, we had the whole ranch to play on, and we just took off and kind of went power rattling. We decided we'd rattle, and we walked 400 or 500 yards and rattled again. And we've rattled up about 3, maybe 4 bucks, and we kind of got on this bank, and we thought, you know, we'd rather be in some better brush, but there just wasn't a situation. I felt like if we got up on top of the little lip where we were, there's a good chance we were going to spook something. So what we did is we kind of hunkered down in some high grass, just barely where we could see. And we were totally counting on the deer coming from the direction we were looking, kind of over that bank. And you know, I hit the horns together, I rattled for about, oh, I don't even know, 10, 15, 20 seconds. And I look over to the left and I see a giant running through the trees. I mean, I could tell that buck was big. And then the first thing I remember saying, I said, here comes one, it's a giant, you know, coming from the left. And as I threw my binoculars up and looked, I mean, there wasn't any doubt. It was a special deer. I mean, one of those that's just, you know, his tines just don't even stop. Had a fork on his, you know, right G2 and some sticker points coming off the bases. And remember, my knees started getting weak when I saw that deer coming, because I mean, you know, I've hunted deer for a long time. That's a special animal right there. You're not gonna have many deer that get that big. They just, you know, they can get big, but that's giant. And so, you know, to me, that was a fun sequence. That's the biggest one I've ever rattled up.
Clark opted to let this one go. Although he's a big deer, he's still young, and if left to mature, he'll not only get bigger, but he'll have more time to pass his genetics on.
You know, the first morning we hunted, we really had some pretty good opportunities. We were getting set up in the blind good, but we still had the opportunities. There was 3 different bucks that were, you know, mature bucks that we would have definitely shot, and all 3 of those left really early. Now, one of them stayed around. It was a 9-pointer, a nice 9-pointer, had a broken brow tine. About the time we decided, hey, we're going to shoot it, and boom, he just heads off in the brush and he's gone. And we're thinking, hey, he's just going to turn back around and come out again, but that's hunting. And you know, it's kind of all about, you know, making decisions. And we made a bad decision on that one. The good decision we've made so far is I think we got a good place to hunt, and we've stayed with it. You know, there's a lot of places we could hunt on this ranch, but we know there's a lot of deer in that area that are shootable mature bucks. They're working a ridge, you know, coming across from a draw, coming across this ridge, going into another draw, and it just seems like the right place. We're just going to stay patient and kill a deer.
As the sun rose on day 3, the now familiar pattern was repeated as multiple deer worked through the narrow passage. The 9-point that disappeared yesterday is back, and Clark makes the decision to not wait any longer. With the buck standing solo less than 70 yards away, Clark is ready for the shot. Unfortunately, from his ground position, that thick vegetation in front of the deer is blocking the vital shot region, something not realized through the camera's elevated position.
I can't get a shot. He's not behind a bush. He's just standing there behind that bush, kind of chewing his cud. I mean, he just won't move. I really need him. You know, if he stepped to the right, I really think I could show him.
Finally, the deer starts to move.
We'll give him a little bit of time, you know, just make sure he's down, and we'll go find him. He's a pretty deer. Yep, we got him. All right. All right. Oh man, I tell you what, we worked hard for that deer right there. Patience paid off. I tell you what, we sat that spot for at least 4 different hunts, and we saw 3 different bucks we could shoot that first morning, and a couple of them were too early. This deer stayed out for a long time. We decided to wait and see if we could, you know, a couple of those other deer were just a little bit better deer. We thought maybe we could get one of those, and you know, it just didn't quite work out. This deer kind of had a bunch of different lives, because you know, the first afternoon we sat there, he comes by. We had heard some rattling to our right. He comes walking by. We couldn't get a shot then, and then this morning he comes out, and it was pretty low light, and we started thinking we were about to, you know, I thought, well, I'm gonna shoot him, and he walks off, and so we didn't get a chance at him. And so, you know, it's really fitting that we got this deer. It's a nice 9-point. Got a broken brow tine, probably about a 5-inch brow tine. He'd really look neat with that big brow tine kind of curved up together. And but heck, I'm very proud of him. That's a super mature deer. Every bit of, you know, at least 6.5 years old, and you know, doesn't have real long tines, but he's got long main beams. Got a lot of, you know, he got a lot of character. I think it's a cool looking deer.
We'd like to thank Clark for letting us join in on his hunt, and we encourage you to check him out in 2012 as he takes the helm of Fishing Texas, touring the best lakes in the region and bringing you the news of a hot new tournament trail in the Lone Star State. Fishing Texas, catch it in 2012.
We fished down that line, and we've been catching them in the grass on a frog.